patient is dying because of you.
The Good Doctor, new Monday on ABC.
Download for free. The best local app for your phone or tablet is Crossroads today.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for Community Crossroads. I'm Carolina Estrain. Here's a look at what's coming up on today's show. We learn about the coastal conflict ongoing between commercial fishing and recreational fishing, a November general election preview, and we also learn about Jam Fest. We now welcome Diane Wilson, a Seadrift resident and lifelong shrimper. Welcome to Community Crossroads, Diane.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
So, Diane, talk to us a little bit about the history between this conflict between commercial and recreational fishing along our Gulf Coast.
The issue right now is over the oystering. So it's the commercial oystermen are having a real rough time surviving because Parks and Wildlife, who regulate them, has closed almost all of the bays for oystering, and so they're out of work. And matter of fact, they recently they did a protest in front of Parks and Wildlife in Victoria and in Dickinson, and they have had regular meetings, sometimes over 200 oystermen there because of their concerns that they will not be able to make a living. And so Parks and Wildlife has closed these bays for oystering, so they're not working. And now Parks and Wildlife has 3 other bays, Mesquite, Ayers, and Carlos, that they want to shut down permanently. And it sends a great deal of fear and anxiety to these fishing families, and I think on the Texas coast it's now maybe around 400 boats from Galveston all the way down to Port Aransas, and you're looking at 1,500 families. And I know I was talking to a reporter in Galveston, and the annual Oyster Fest shut down. I mean, there was no oysters. And so it's not just the oystermen and their families, it's the oyster houses, it's the restaurants. It's like, I can't even imagine what the price of a gallon of oysters are now. I can't even imagine.
Well, it must be devastating to our tourism industry as far as, oysters at a restaurant or everything that we have. Like we have Oyster Fest in Rockport this weekend.
Really? They found oysters?
That's what I've heard. Oh. That's what I've heard. It may just be a parade without oysters.
Yeah. It may be a bunch of empty shells.
It's a big symbol of our tourism industry, of our restaurant industry. Mm-hmm. But then there's that balance, right? So Texas Parks and Wildlife and the conservationists are saying it's in an effort to rebuild the oyster population.
I take a little issue with the word conservationist because I'm a 4th generation fisherwoman. I have been on the bay my entire life. I'm 73 now, so I've had 60 years out there. I've had many experiences with Texas Parks and Wildlife, starting with the redfish bill when fishing was banned on the Texas coast, and with the shrimp regulatory power with the shrimping. So what the fishermen have a little concerned on what sometimes they're calling conservation is nothing but sometimes perhaps a smokescreen, and it's absolutely more like a class struggle of
recreational and commercial fishing.
And a lot of times they put that with some of the very rich recreational fishing groups. Some of them are extremely wealthy, and some of the founders or oil men, and then there's the very poor working class fishermen, hands-on, independent boats, family fishermen. They are not fleet owners. They are not with 85-foot boats and going out for 2 weeks in the Gulf. These are everyday, back home with their families, trying to feed their families. And so it's not just a
fishing for fun. It's for your livelihood.
Yeah, and it's putting food on their table, and it's feeding their children, and it's giving seafood to people in Texas.
Well, Diane, I'm glad that you were able to join us on Community Crossroads to advocate for the commercial fishing community. I did reach out to a recreational fishing organization, but hopefully I'll get them on the show sometime later this month. And we do want to let our viewers know about March 24th.
Right.
Texas Parks and Wildlife, they're having that very important meeting where they're going to be discussing the permanent closure.
That's right.
At least to oystering and fishing at Ayers Bay, Mesquite Bay, and Carlos Bay.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Diane.
Oh, you bet. Thank you for having me here.
And coming up, don't go anywhere. We meet an oysterman grappling with the closure of Gulf Coast bays.